This is the inside of the Benimar Mileo 286. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volts on by firstly pressing this button followed by this button. As you can now see, all of the lights have come on, and these can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Next we have water pump on and off. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Next we have awning light on and off. And then buttons along the bottom mainly give us information. So this first one here will give us a condition reading of the leisure battery. And then this one here will give us a reading of the vehicle battery. Next we have how much water is in the fresh water tank. Whenever the grey water tank needs emptying, a red light will begin to flash next to the waste tank symbol just here. And when the fresh water tank drops to the last orange segment just here, you'll get a flashing orange light just here to indicate you're getting low on water. And again, you will get flashing indicators if either of the batteries are low. This button here just controls the illumination of the control panel. And then this light here is just indicating that we're currently connected to mains electricity. And the one above it will illuminate when you start the engine of the motorhome to let you know the alternator is charging the batteries. This can only be viewed with these two buttons turned on. If we now move across, we then have the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water system. At the moment it's displaying the time, and it's letting us know that we have main supply connected. If I now press the button, you'll see we have a series of icons, and as I rotate the button they will begin to flash. So if we start with the first one, this one here is for your heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off, and if I begin to rotate the button, we can pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, right the way up to 30 degrees. Once you've decided, just click and that will store it in, and you'll now see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, the flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. If I now move across to the next icon, this one here is for your hot water. So if I now click on it, you'll see that hot water is off, and if I begin to rotate, we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. If I rotate again, we can heat the water to hot, which is a temperature of about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. Very handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water very quickly. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off because it needs to use that extra power. And again, the icon will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. The next icon is power source selection. So currently, to do heating and hot water, I am using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts, indicated by the 2 lightning strikes up here. If I rotate, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt. Very handy if we're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. After that, we then have a mix, so a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts and a mixture of gas and mains at 1. These two settings are very handy, especially in the colder months of the year. This way you can get up to temperature nice and quickly, and it will only consume gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we have no main supply, we can solely run on gas. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating system, so we can either run in eco or high. And if I now turn off both hot water and heating and return back to it, we can also use it to vent the motorhome. It has a fan speed of 1 to 10. If I now drop us to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So if I now click on it, we can set when we would like the timer to begin, and then when we would like it to end, and what we would like on within that period. So let's say we want heating on at 18 degrees, we want water at about 60, we want to be using dual fuel, and we'll leave the circulation fan in eco. Once we've done all this, timer off or on. If I now activate the timer, it will come up just here, and because I've set it for the time period that we are at the moment, you'll see that all the settings have come up there and it's flashing because it's in operation. If I now return to it, I can now turn it back off again, and when we go back in, we can then re-alter it. Next we have clock set, and then lastly we have the settings menu. So within here we have offset, which is just for the thermostat just here, so if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of this screen, 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. So from time to time, you may get an error code appear on this control panel. It will usually be relatively basic. It will appear as a series of letters and numbers, and a warning triangle will appear. And then if you look in the manual or if you Google it, it will tell you what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, if it's something relatively easy and you rectify the problem, the error code will just automatically disappear. If that is not the case, just go back to the little warning triangle, which will appear here, double click on it, and then it will sometimes say no error and then disappear. If this still doesn't work, if you still have anything running along the top just here, just turn them off, because the unit can reassess a lot quicker when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If you still have no luck with this, just turn the control panel on and off, and the way we do this is just by holding the button in until it says off. If when you turn it back on again you still have an error code, I always suggest just doing the factory reset, because this is sometimes all that it requires. The two main error codes you will probably get are the error code for I do not have mains electricity, so if you haven't plugged yourself in or you've tripped, and the other one is I do not have gas, so either your gas supply is turned off or depleted, or you can also trigger it if you are running the system on gas and you open this window just here, because there is a pressure switch just here. The pressure switch is for safety because the flue for the boiler sits underneath this window, so this avoids carbon monoxide poisoning. You can control the Truma heating and hot water via the Truma app if you want to. Firstly, download the Truma app onto your device. Once you've done this, make sure your Bluetooth is turned on and launch the app. Press remote control on your device and then follow the on-screen instructions. It will firstly ask you to go to the iNet box, and in this particular model it is located above the fridge freezer. So the iNet box is just here, and it will ask you to press the Bluetooth button just here. Once you've done this, you will then be able to connect up and then control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. What you can also do if you want to is add a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and it just slots in where my finger is here. Register this through the app, and then you can control your heating and hot water from much further afield. Whilst we're in here, we also have the solar panel regulator. You can see that the solar is on, so it's just indicating that UV light is hitting the panel and that it's currently in float mode. So this means that the batteries are either fully charged or at the moment are just receiving a tiny trickle. When the solar panel is putting a hard charge into the batteries, this green light will go out and an amber one will appear here. And if there's a problem with the solar panel, a red light will appear next to the alarm. In this corner just here is the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof, on and off just on the side here, and then control the boost on this little dial. Once you've made sure that this is on and that the boost is relatively turned all the way up, install a telly on the bracket, plug it all in up here, and then just tune it in. If I now come to the bench seat just here and remove the cushions, you will see that underneath here we have storage, and we also have the battery charger just here. So this is what is charging both the leisure battery and the vehicle battery when the motorhome's connected to main supply. Next we have the 12 volt fuses just here. So if anything's not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. If you are going to blow a fuse, the main one you will do is this 20 amp fuse just here. This is the fuse for the electric drop down bed. This fuse can be easily blown if you have too much stuff on that bed when you put it up. If the bed's motor goes under too much stress, it will blow a fuse to protect itself. And then just here we have the mains trip switches. So we have the individual MCBs, the main RCD and test button just here. So if anything's not working on main supply, just check to see if you have blown a fuse. Tripped. In this side here we have the Truma boiler. Located just down here is the drain valve for the boiler itself. These drain valves are automatic, so if the temperature inside the motorhome drops below about 3 or 4 degrees, this valve will automatically open up and drop all the water out of the boiler to frost protect itself. If you are going to manually drain the boiler down, firstly make sure the water pump is turned off, and then come to this blue diamond and twist it. What will then happen is a blue button will pop out at the base of the unit, as you can see just here. To reclose it, twist and push back in, and as you can see it will then reset. If this auto drains, all that will happen is the blue button will just pop out at the base of the unit, and all you need to do is just push it back in again. If it will not stay in, it's just too cold in the motorhome, and you will need to turn on the heating to generate some heat to allow it to reset. The only time you're touching the blue diamond is when you are manually draining it down. I always suggest that when you are draining down for winterization, once you've turned this and start to drain the water out of the boiler, go around and open up all the taps inside the motorhome as well, because this will help release any airlocks in the system and help it drain down more efficiently. When it comes to refilling the boiler, make sure it's all in the closed position like it is now. Close all the taps in the motorhome, fill up the fresh water tank, turn on the 12 volt, followed by the water pump, and then it will begin to refill the boiler. let the pump run for a few minutes, then begin opening up the taps in the caravan. Once the water is running freely on both hot and cold, reclose, and then the system will fully reprime itself. Tucked just behind the driver's seat, you will find a switch. This switch here is for the waste tanks heater. So if you are using the motorhome in extremely cold climate, you can pop this on and it will then put a residual amount of heat in the waste tank to avoid any frost damage occurring. The freshwater tank does not have a heater as it is an internal tank, and if I now just remove all of these cushions, I can show you. So now if I just lift up here, you can see the fresh water tank. We can gain access inside the fresh water tank just here if you want to do any additional cleaning. And then we have the water pump just here. To gain both travel seats, just remove this section just here. And then we also have storage just here. Next we have the Thetford fridge freezer. Turn on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently connected to main supply, it's put us directly on to mains. If I was now to run outside and pull the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and then as soon as we start the engine of the motorhome, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep the fridge cold whilst we're on the move. As you can see, the screen will disappear after a few seconds, but you can see that the unit is still on by the little green light just here, and to bring it back up again, just tap the grey square. We can take it out of auto if we want to. Very easy, just hold the grey button in and then just use the arrows. So I can manually pick mains. I can manually pick 12 volt maintain, and I can manually pick gas. But the easiest option to have it on is auto. If there is a problem in any shape or form, so if I now just pick 12 volt maintain, it will flash at you and the light will go red. The reason it is doing this at the moment is because the engine isn't running. Temperature control just here. Large fridge and large freezer box just here. And then we have the pull-out section as well. Extractor fan just here, so light on and off and fan on and off. Electric hot plate, so this will work whilst the motorhome is connected to main supply. Operates just here, and the red light comes on to let you know it's in operation. And then we have the two gas burners. Push in, twist and press the igniter. And then beneath it we have the oven and grill. Push in to the left for the oven, and then if we go back to the off position and push in and go to the right, we can then fire up the grill. Cutlery drawer just here, but also in here you will find the gas isolation taps for the motorhome. So we have the fridge, heating and hot water, oven and hob, and the barbecue point. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say they are more for maintenance than anything else. If you do smell gas in the motorhome, go to the source and turn off the gas bottle. Microwave just here. It is advisable to remove any contents for travel. Again, this will work whilst the motorhome is connected to main supply, and as you can see just here, it is also a grill and a combi. Just press here to select what you would like. So you've got your power settings, you then have your grill and your combination. We then have the usual quick start and stop just here, and then you can set your time etc. along the bottom just here. Tucked up here you will find two 3-pin sockets and also light switch. And then above my head just here is the Omnivent fan. So to use this, just wind the roof vent open. Middle button turns the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling. Variable fan speed just by pressing. To ensure that all roof vents are down for travel. The washroom, shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is clipped for travel. We then have the basin and then the Thetford toilet. So the bowl does swivel. To open to the cassette, just slide across here and then push to flush. And then close back up again. If this is left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left this open. And then we have the level indicator just here, so this will rotate round to red when the cassette needs emptying. Light switch in here is just tucked underneath the vanity unit. And then we have a good sized wardrobe in here. Access to the garage space. And then we have a drop down step, so we can then gain full access inside the other wardrobe. In here we just have the infill for the bed. With the electric bed you have full control just on the switch just here. As soon as you let go, it will stop. Tucked underneath the mattress you will find literally cargo netting that can be clipped up to the ceiling if you are going to have the bed in the higher position. And then the ladder just clips onto these 2 points just here. If you are having the bed in the lowest position, make sure that any obstructions are moved, and also turn off the lights underneath to avoid scorching the upholstery. If the bed was to malfunction, it can be manually wound up and down. The winder is here, and you just attach it to the 13mm nut just there and then wind the bed up or down. With the second bed, you will need the 2 bed boards from the garage, and then once the bed boards are put into place, just resting on these little plinths, pop the cushions into the correct position using the infill as well, just like so. Both front seats swivel round, and they swivel round on the levers just here. Move the seat backwards and forwards on the lever underneath, and then both seats are also height adjustable just on the levers here.